we were not able to talk about this in 2012, 2013, the way we are talking about it now. At that point of time, we had problems in terms of our public finances. We had no money in the budget for pensions or salaries, let alone talking about digitalization and making sure people can live much easier that way. And things changed, and I'm very happy about that. And to also just a joke, when I talked to Anna, and I've been the Minister of Finance for the last 2 years, we had 2 budget processes and 1 supplementary budget. And whenever I think I'm pretty much finished with, with all of the expenses and all of the investments, then I get a call from Anna, and she always says, listen, just think about, this investment in the IT industry. This is just one more thing that we need to do, which shows how dedicated she is to this, and she is actually the force behind this. And yes, the answer is we have money for digitalization. Just one example, the IT office, their budget this year compared to last year is 50% higher. 50%, and Anna was saying about 100 million euros currently being invested in the IT infrastructure. But what's important here, and I'll finish with this, is the education. And when we talk about the education, I think people, both businesses and individuals, need to first and foremost understand what are the benefits of the digitalization process. In my humble opinion, usually it's always something vague or something too far away, but it's not. In terms of businesses, and I'll talk more about this during the course of this panel, I think it's very important that through digitalization, companies will get their VAT back in no time. That through digitalization, we're going to be able to alleviate customs procedures and to make them as a single window procedure as well, to speed up the process of goods and services going back and forth. I think this is very important for the businesses to understand. For individuals as well. Now things have changed, priorities have changed. People have higher salaries, more and more have more financial means. Now they want to make sure that their life is much simpler, much easier, and they actually get their services or get their problems solved over the internet, online. So we are here, we are very well positioned. As I said yesterday, our GDP is expected to grow at around 4% per annum. In 5 years from today, so 2025, we expect our GDP to be 73 billion, to double 10 years down the road, and it cannot happen without the digitalization effort, and that's why I'm thankful for the opportunity to be present at this panel. I think it's a two-way street. Yes, the private sector should be the one in the lead, but then again, you cannot do it without the support of the government. Simply, you do not want to have the government as an obstacle to your initiatives in the private sector. And we were fortunate, I think, to start talking about this in the right time, when we had money also to push the investments into the infrastructure especially, and to show support for the private sector to, invest even more. I remember discussions you probably know, we implemented the IP box and all of the other incentives from the taxation point of view, which are very favorable to the whole ICT community here. But we did it together with Digital Serbia, so with civil societies, with the IT cluster from Vojvodina, etc. So we did talk and we did listen to the private sector. And we have so many smart people here, but it's imperative, in my humble opinion, that you also have a possibility to listen and to implement in your government policy what the private sector is saying. And again, it's a two-way street. I'm glad that I think in Serbia, at this point of time, we do have the synergetic effect from both the private and the government sector.
And the Chamber will work on that.
And the Chamber of Commerce, of Serbia, of course. First of all, everything is done under the umbrella of the Prime Minister's cabinet, which is very important, so we basically coordinate all of the policies. But then each and every ministry does its own job or its own work in terms of the respective area. I'm not going to talk about the health and education, but I'll talk about the finance, because in my area we have two important institutions, which is the tax authority and the customs. And for tax authority, Tavi, for you, just to know, our consultant in the reform of the tax authority is the former head of the Finnish tax authority, Pekka Rukonen. Maybe you know him, but doesn't matter. He's a great guy, and actually we are learning a lot, especially from this area of the world, how you guys done it, and we are trying to implement the same thing here. So, for example, the tax authority reform, it goes in both, or actually it goes in two ways. One is the core reform of the way the tax authority works, in terms of introducing more software, more hardware, more of those processes that are streamlining the work. And secondly, is something that we expect to do this year, which is the fiscalization. So we are introducing new points of sale devices that are going to be able, in real time, to share information with the tax authority and with other relevant authorities in terms of the revenues, in terms of the business of respective entrepreneurs. So it is going to make our life much easier. Then again, also the core competence of the tax authority, if we implement the whole thing in a proper manner, will be able to return the VAT tax, which is one of the biggest requests by the business community, in no time. They are now waiting, 10, 20, 15, 25 days. But, if we implement this system in a proper way, you're going to see the real benefit of the digitalization in the tax administration. On the other hand, as for the customs, you're all aware of this mini Schengen initiative that we are putting together. So we have already adopted all of the decisions which are needed to make sure that between us, Northern Macedonia, Albania, there is a single window. So basically, services and goods are going to flow seamlessly across the borders. And I think this is the right way how to show the digitalization and their effects on everyday life in terms of business people, at least. As we actually discussed, I don't think one can go without the another, and vice versa. We were fortunate enough in Serbia, Tavi, you probably already know this, have very smart people, very entrepreneurial people, especially in the ICT industry. And I said it a couple of minutes ago when we talked about the IP box and other initiatives. We talked to Digital Serbia, we talked to other IT clusters as well, just to make sure that whatever we are doing actually makes sense. And we are here to listen. You rightfully said, you don't have to talk to the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance to make sure that digitalization happens, but it's good that we are ready to listen and to understand, and then to implement whatever advice we get from the civil sector and from entrepreneurs like this. There are two examples I would just like to add right now, because there are two laws that we adopted last year, and that were actually based on the feedback and or the push we got from companies and businesses, which is the public procurement law, for example. It is a revolutionary, so that as of 1st of July this year, you guys are going to have only electronic public procurement processes through the portal, more competition, more transparency. One of the ways that the government can show how we support the competition, but also how we can support the digitalization process. And the other is the new accounting law. And someone will think, yeah, it's a very boring law, accountants, this or that. But that accounting law stipulates that as of January 1st, 2022, we're only going to have e-invoices or e-invoicing. So no more papers, no more, stamps or, sending, faxing, this or that, but only e-invoices. And basically it was the feedback when we talked to the Chamber of Commerce, various other associations, learning what needs to be changed. And the idea for all of us is simply to push our economy further, our society further. I think we are on the right path. I can only thank Anna for her initiative in that respect. And we can only do better in the future. But again, small steps do make a difference. And you're right, the digitalization should be a tool. And the goal should be a better quality of living and better society that we are building right now in Serbia. Thank you. It is going to be a very competitive process. I know we hear from the market who else is interested. 5G is critical to us. I mean, without the 5G, you cannot roll into the next phase of the digitalization. So no worries. We are aware of the challenges. The market per se will say what the price is going to be achieved. From your perspective, it's always better to pay less and to have more for the investments. We'll see. But I think successful implementation of the 5G is critical for the continuation of everything that we have talked today about. And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, you've seen in the last couple of months, we got feedback from NALED, from you guys in MCHAM, things that we are doing well and things that we have not done as yet. The foreign exchange law is probably the most important one that we need to change together with the National Bank of Serbia, and we will. I mean, there is no reason why not to. We also talked about the cryptocurrencies and everything else. I mean, you know, we are opening new chapters as we go along. Fortunately enough, with the public finance now being in order, yes, we can spend time and effort just doing what you're just saying to make sure that we improve the environment even more.